Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Sometimes the best way to find a living is to stay right where you are and study with UAS online. Career-specific distance programs from the University of Alaska Southeast are the fastest way to increase your earning power.
We connect all over the world.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, and thanks for joining us here at KAKM for Saturday's show. On the breakup map here, breakup occurred at Circle up here on the Yukon River. Next in line is Fort Yukon. Otherwise, Tanana River open, the Kuskokwim River open, but still ice here along the Porcupine. And of course the North Slope River is frozen, but temperatures up there this afternoon starting to approach the freezing mark. Moving on here, if you see anything, Alaska River Watch, several ways you can transfer that information. Of course, Facebook, Twitter, telephone, and email. Satellite imagery yesterday, we were watching a storm system down here to the south. Pretty fierce one, the front pushing up to the northeast with a strong south and southwesterly jet rolling it along there. A lot of variable clouds, mid and high level stuff, some lower conditions and showers down to the south up over the interior, and a fairly nice area of sunshine here over the north central interior down into the Yukon Delta. And the afternoon heating associated with that triggered some thunderstorms last evening out over the Yukon Delta areas. And then those drifted off the coast. Today, much that same pattern here, some sunshine over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta areas up into the Tanana Valley locations, and that front came right up to the north, edged over to the east, brought some pretty good wind and rain into the southeast coast, as well as the North Gulf Coast with storm force winds and gales right down into Kodiak Island, rain continuing to fall into the afternoon today. With winds coming down, though, strongest winds occurred there last night and overnight. With that front lifting northward, we had the storms and gales up along the coast and over the central and southern panhandle. In that motion again, you can see the front gradually shifting eastward there, but some more moisture sliding northward along a pretty good southerly jet aloft there. And that'll bring, actually keep it wet there for the next couple of days, with some clouds spilling into the Bristol Bay area. Areas of clearing there along the coast, but pretty socked in with low clouds and fog from Nunivak Island. Areas back up into the Bering Strait, and then the usual conditions, just some patchy fog and low clouds up along the Arctic coast with fairly light winds up in that area. Otherwise, some scattered showers here, patchy fog over the Bering Sea, the Alaska Peninsula, northwest winds there, 15 to 30 miles an hour, and stronger back up to the northeast here across the Barren Islands, back along the North Gulf Coast. Again, gales and storm force winds, gusts as high as possibly 65 miles per hour, and a fair amount of rain again, anywhere from a ½ inch to 2/3 of an inch falling during the day today across the southeast coast there with a gusty wind. Yak has had over ½ an inch and nearly an inch falling at Kodiak today at the state airport there. And we'll look at the forecast for tonight. That front moves inland and really breaks up here, just some showers associated with it. Pretty gusty winds as that rolls through the eastern Alaska Range area and probably Copper River Basin. Stays pretty breezy and wet with the heaviest rain falling over western Prince William Sound in, again, Passage Canal into Portage Valley area. Look for conditions to become more showery down across Kodiak Island. And periods of rain also over the northern southeast coast and also along the frontal boundary there, kind of stalled out over the southern areas. And you can see the thickening of the frontal band down in this area here. That's going to slide northward, and we'll have some warm front action here going on. So a good surge of moisture slides right up along that front on the west side of the ridging over British Columbia, and that's going to make for a really wet day tomorrow, although the winds won't be as strong as they were today. Should be quite a bit lighter there. Lighter winds also with shower activity along the North Gulf Coast. This low keeps it cloudy and occasionally wet there over Kodiak Island. Chance of showers all across south central Alaska, especially Prince William Sound, all the way down into northeast Bristol Bay. And this trough up through here, look for some scattered or isolated thunderstorms to develop along that trough in the afternoon there, with some scattered showers as well. Mostly in the afternoon hours. Fairer conditions up to the north, risk of some fog and flurries along the Arctic coast. Otherwise, low clouds and fog. Areas IFR through the Bering Strait, maybe St. Lawrence Island down along the coast there, and into the southeast Bering Sea. Some scattered showers continuing here with less wind for the Alaska Peninsula and the eastern Aleutians. And that front out here to the west, slowly pushing eastward, so the rain that's will be out to the west there tonight. That'll slip on into the central Aleutians for a rainy day out in that area tomorrow. But again, winds not really all that significant with that front, and the rainfall won't be all that heavy. Then on Monday, you'll see that whole thing slips eastward there to the eastern Aleutians for some periods of rain and fog, probably IFR as well there along the frontal boundary for the Fox Islands, and areas of rain, a lot of clouds, IFR out over the southern Bering Sea, and just about all of the Aleutians. Otherwise, up over the interior, we have this 1001 millibar low there sitting right about in this position. So scattered showers, isolated thunderstorms likely during the afternoon hours through here with mostly cloudy skies. There'll be areas of clearing over the interior along with some scattered shower conditions. Could become a little more widespread over here to the east. Upper Tanana Valley areas, 40-mile country from the Brooks Range up to and probably a little north of Eagle. Look for some showers. And also staying wet here for the North Gulf Coast. Pretty showery, convective type weather going on with some of those showers on the moderate side. Yakutat, Cordova, Prince William Sound, maybe even up into the McCarthy and definitely the Wrangell Mountains. So I'll have a very definite frontal boundary lying right through this area across the southern panhandle here. A good temperature gradient from western Canada on out to the eastern Gulf of Alaska. But it's really starting to run out of moisture and just a narrow band of precipitation along that. So much lighter conditions there. Behind the front, actually some breaks in the overcast. Could see some sunshine there, Port Alexander and on up into the Sitka area. But a couple of troughs back here to the west will probably rotate some more showers in there later on and into Monday night. But scattered showers possible again, Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula, even the Matanuska-Sitney Valley areas. Not a bad day in store for the Alaska Peninsula. Even Bristol Bay, probably mostly cloudy and dry, with again the fog here hanging out along and off the southwest coast. Same sort of pattern up in toward maybe St. Lawrence Island. Definitely the Bering Strait, another IFR day there. No change along the Arctic coast except those easterly winds probably increasing a little bit there, picking up into maybe 15 to 20 knots along the coast. And for temperatures across the southeast coast today, mostly in the 40s, although Sitka, these are early to mid-afternoon temperatures. Sitka did push up to 50 degrees, not the highs. 40s here over the southeast interior, mid-40s for the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound. Just 40 degrees with all the wind or all the rain and clouds there at Kodiak State Airport. Upper 40s to lower 50s here, Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula, and lower 50s up in the valleys. Mid-50s, Bristol Bay, 54 there at King Salmon, 50 degrees at Stony, and with some sunshine, temperatures pushing into the upper 50s there at Fairbanks. Actually, later this afternoon, some areas getting in the lower 60s up in that area. Farther to the north, Fort Yukon at 55, 43 occurred both at Anatuvik and Adigan. Umiat State Airport, or Umiat Airfield, 31 degrees. Mostly in the upper 20s along the Arctic coast. Wainwright did push up to 30 degrees. And Kivalina at 37, otherwise Kotzebue was stuck at 30, 28 at Shishmaref, same thing at Point Hope, as well as Tin City, about 27 degrees, but Nome had 45 and White Mountain 47. 54 there at McGrath, and 52 at Bethel. St. Mary's 40 degrees with 46 or 49 at Kipnook, and out west upper 30s in the Pribilofs, and looks like lows will be in the lower 30s there tonight with upper 30s for the eastern Aleutians all the way out to Shemya, and 30s to lower 40s for the Alaska Peninsula, mostly in the 30s to near 40 here over a good chunk of the southwest interior, and on up to the northeast with that same temperature pattern extending actually all the way to the border, with upper 30s and near 40 here for south central Alaska. Not much change at all for Kodiak Island, lower 40s for the lows tonight, and 40s also for the Panhandle. Coolest areas again, eastern North Slope with the Arctic coast in the lower to mid 20s. Highs tomorrow, again that warm swath here from the upper Yukon Valley back down to the southwest coast. Look for highs anywhere from the mid 50s to lower and possibly even mid 60s in the sunnier locations tomorrow. Otherwise, 50s again, south central Alaska, and looks like lower to mid 50s for the southeast coast. Upper 20s to lower 30s for the North Slope and the Arctic coast, as well as the northwest areas here, down to St. Lawrence Island. 40s for the Aleutians. Flying weather tomorrow morning, IFR here from Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, down through the Bering Strait, St. Lawrence Island. Much like today, they're down to the north side of Nunivak Island, probably including Macoriac. Early on, a lot of marginal VFR here for the Bering Sea. And then the IFR with that frontal boundary pushing into the central Aleutians. Good VFR for the interior, north of the Alaska Range, north of the Brooks Range. Marginal VFR on out to the Arctic coast. And we've got some IFR there over the southern Panhandle. And then for tomorrow morning, that was the afternoon map that was shown there. So tomorrow morning, starting out with IFR here over western Prince William Sound, and then things improve tomorrow afternoon to marginal conditions. And again, looks like most of the IFR will be hanging out down over the southern southeast coast, and then the IFR at about the same place here out over the Bering Sea, up through the Strait and along the Arctic coast. Moving on to passes, Anaktuvik VFR, just a risk of some marginal conditions on the northern entrance. Same forecast for Adigan. For Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR at times, lowest conditions eastern entrances, better to the west. That same forecast holds for Rainy as well. And for Windy VFR, Isabel, same forecast, stays VFR from Antasta. Tanita stays open. Portage IFR throughout the afternoon tomorrow, even though the remainder of Prince William Sound will be improving. It'll probably hang in here eastern, western Passage Canal on in all the way over to Portage Valley. Looks like it'll be pretty good IFR throughout the day. And for Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR becoming IFR. For the freezing levels here, 4,000 feet, upper Yukon Valley through the central interior out to just about the Seward Peninsula there. Otherwise, kind of 2,000 to 3,000 feet down here to the west, and then kind of a messy configuration here with a cooler air aloft across south central Alaska into northwest Canada. Then 2,000 to 4,000 to 6,000 feet from the northern Panhandle on down to the Queen Charlottes. For icing, 4,000 to 16,000 feet. Again, a load of moisture coming northward into the southeast coast during the entire day tomorrow. Lesser amounts of that back to the west, but still enough to kick off some possible icing threats between the 4,000 and 11,000 foot level of maybe mixed, but more likely the rime variety, and lesser threats out west. For the jet stream here, south to north, right up into the Panhandle, 140 knots. That's carrying those surges of moisture northward there with a big ridge of high pressure developing over western Canada. Otherwise, the jet stream to the south here, that's taking most of that action with that storminess out to the west and keeping it to the south with just a weakening front coming across the Aleutians. And at 9,000 feet, 3,000 feet, about the same at both levels here. Southeast flow, low near and just east of Kodiak Island. Light winds over the interior, and not all that brisk out over the Aleutians. Southeasterlies diminishing there, not too strong at all for the Panhandle. Turbulence mostly below 6,000 feet here, northern Cook Inlet eastward into the northern Panhandle. Copper River Basin right up to the eastern Alaska Range, a little bumpy. Also some light isolated stuff there for the Alaska Peninsula, or the Alaska Peninsula and Aleutian Range, and also with the front coming into the central Aleutians. And after the break, I'll be back to look at the marine forecasts.
Ben.
Give me a hand.
Unfortunately, many of the old treatments can be dangerous.
Really, I'm all right.
For example, don't rewarm the whole body by putting the victim in a hot shower. A hot shower or tub rewarms the surface of arms and legs. This sends a message to the body that it's okay to open circulation to those cold extremities. Vital warm blood sent from the core rapidly cools as it passes through cold arms and legs. When it gets back to the heart, that shot of cold blood can cause an unusual heartbeat, which results in the heart muscle starting to shiver rather than pump. The patient then has a heart attack. Another old treatment is to give alcohol. It's also dangerous. Like a hot shower, it fools the body into thinking it's warm when it isn't.
Want to give him some coffee?
In fact, any liquid can be dangerous.
No hot liquids.
Because the hypothermia victim is not just cold. He may also be in shock, and you can't give any liquid to a shock victim. He could throw it up, draw the vomit into his lungs, and die from aspiration pneumonia.
Let's be real easy with him.
So, to treat hypothermia safely, be slow and gentle.
How you feeling, Hank?
Don't jar the victim. A hypothermia victim who is being rewarmed should be treated very gently. A sudden jar or shock can also cause an apparent heart attack. It is a fact that even though treatment is progressing, a hypothermia victim's body temperature continues to drop before it starts to rise again. The victim is very vulnerable at this time.
Nice and easy now.
To rewarm a hypothermia victim, use only those treatments that are always safe. The first part of treatment is to take them out of the cold to prevent further heat loss. At this point, the body may not be able to rewarm itself. Blankets will not rewarm a cold body. They only insulate. You need a heat source. First, wrap the cold arms and legs to keep them from rewarming too quickly as you attempt to rewarm the body core of the victim. Then, rewarm the high heat loss areas, the head, neck, armpits, sides, and groin of the victim. The most effective, safe way to rewarm hypothermia victims in the field is to use warm objects and body-to-body rewarming. Warm objects are literally anything that is warm, including warm rocks, lukewarm hot water bottles, warm heating pads, warm packs, or even warm potatoes. But be careful. Be absolutely sure that the objects are not hot. You can burn the victim because of their cold-induced numbness. Hypothermia victims won't be able to tell you if the object is too hot. Check on it yourself, like you would a baby's bath. If it feels uncomfortably warm to you, it's too hot for the victim.
This one towel. Let's get this under his neck. Got a stocking cap ready? Yes. Hold his head up and slide it on. Okay, take it easy. Okay. Okay, Hank, lay your head down nice and easy. Okay. Let's see if we can't start warming up his sides. Let's go body to body. Just get your shirt off, right?
Body-to-body rewarming is when one or more warm, healthy people embrace the victim within some insulated shelter such as blankets or a sleeping bag. If this treatment is used, one should continue the treatment for at least an hour.
Okay, just take it easy now. We're going to stay here until you get a little bit warmer, okay?
Oh, man, stay there forever. Wow.
Okay.
These rewarming treatments are safe, slow, and gentle. Don't rush them, and be sure to protect the victim from further cold and from shocks or sudden moves. To safely live and survive in a cold environment, you have to know about hypothermia. Hypothermia is the lowering of body core temperature. It's prevented by having adequate shelter for the body, proper clothing. Recognize hypothermia by the victim's physical symptoms and their exposure to the environmental conditions that cause it. Avoid total rewarming of the body. Do not give any liquids, especially hot liquids or alcohol. It's treated with warm objects or body-to-body rewarming, which is safe, slow, and gentle. Hypothermia is a physical condition. It affects the body. Yet a victim's will to live is often the decisive factor in whether or not they will survive.
Well, I always thought survival was physical. You know, if you was really strong, you could make it. But for some reason, I just said to myself, oh, heck, I'm breathing, I'm alive, I'm going to stay with it as long as I can. I did have a lot of water in my suit, and I already had hypothermia before I hit the beach. And mainly, it was really hard because I couldn't swim. I didn't have no goal. It was just lay back in the water for the night and see where I was in the daytime. And of course, I didn't know if I'd be near land or not. I was hoping I would be. And it just got to be a battle with myself, thinking of the positive things.
It's a fact that people with mild cases of hypothermia have apparently given up and died, while others have survived under conditions we'd never believed possible.
Whoa! Whoa! Hey, Hank, man overboard!
To know what it is, know how to prevent it, how to recognize it, and how to treat it. When was the last time you shivered from the cold?
Don't take your eye off of him!
Hypothermia is the lowering of the body core temperature. The best prevention for hypothermia is to stay dry.
Get those clothes off him!
It makes good sense to treat him for hypothermia.
Give me a hand.
Many of the old treatments can be dangerous.
Come on, we're all right.
Don't rewarm the whole body by putting the victim in a hot shower.
Want to give him some coffee?
You can't give any liquid to a shock victim.
How you feeling, Hank?
Be slow and gentle.
Nice and easy now.
Blankets will not rewarm a cold body. You need a heat source. Lukewarm hot water bottles, warm heating pads, warm packs, or even warm potatoes.
Okay, just take it easy now. We're going to stay here until you get a little bit warmer, okay?
Oh, man, stay there forever. Wow.
Welcome back. Forecast tomorrow, much lighter winds in store for the coast here. Still southeast 25 down the extreme south coast. Inside waters, you've got small craft advisories for Clarence Strait, up to 30 knots there, otherwise south to southeast at 20 to the north. Monday, westerlies at 25 knots on the south coast, southerlies 20 to 25 on the north end. Lynn Canal, on northern Lynn Canal, south 25. Same thing here down for Clarence Strait. And for the North Gulf Coast tomorrow, southeasterlies 25 to 30 knots, small craft advisories in the forecast for Prince William Sound, 15 to 20 knot northeasterlies for Cook Inlet, and then really dropping back here 10 to 15 knots, Shelikof Strait and Kamishak Bay. Really light winds southeast are just variable at 10 knots there, but seas still hanging in at 10 feet. And then for Monday, swings around to the northwest here, 15 to 20 knots right across Kodiak Island. Easterlies at 20, Kamishak Bay and the Barrens. And then light winds with a southerly component here for the North Gulf Coast. Light winds, Prince William Sound and northern Cook Inlet. And for the Bristol Bay Zone, northwest 20 tomorrow, small craft advisories for the Alaska Peninsula. And actually we've got northwesterlies all the way up to Sitkinak. For Monday's outlook, pretty light winds here, west to southwest, 15 knots to the Alaska Peninsula, as well as from Cape Sarachev right on up to Sitkinak, while Bristol Bay is looking at westerlies at 20 knots. For the Aleutians, eastern Aleutians, southwest to westerlies at 20 knots, and then south to southeast, 20 to 25 knots here, really from about Atka all the way out to Shemya. Then for the next day on Monday, those turn northeast at about 20, southerlies at 20 to southwest 15 to 20 for the central Aleutians, and again south to southwest 15 to 20 knots here for the Fox Islands. For the southwest coast, northwest 25 knots, a little lighter and more northerly here to the west on up to St. Lawrence Island. Pribilof's light northwest breeze tomorrow with just 4-foot seas. And then it becomes light and variable probably tomorrow night and through Monday, although they may kick around to the east or southeast late in the day, but generally variable at 10 and 15 knot winds here for the southwest coast, St. Lawrence Island, 20 knots from the north and still carrying freezing spray in the forecast there. For the Arctic coast, east to northeast, 10 knots, picks up to 20 knots from Wells to Cape Thompson. And then for Monday, those winds pick up here, especially on the east side, looking at easterlies 15 to 20 knots there. Northeast from the central coast at about 15, but picking up to 20 knots here as you get down toward Cape Lisburne to Point Hope, and then it falls back again to 15 knots. Looking at tonight's weather, the front moves inland and dissipates here. Some pretty brisk southerly winds will probably roll through Copper River Basin. The eastern Alaska Range passes that pushes through, and it stays quite wet here for the North Gulf Coast. That south to north flow, keeping the moisture socked in right along the coastline there, and it stays wet also over the Panhandle, but those winds will be coming down and the rain should become a little more intermittent and not so heavy. But the next batch of moisture down here to the south, as we'll see, comes rolling right on up tomorrow. So rain, possibly heavy at times there across the whole area associated with this warm front, and more showery toward Yakutat, and then the showers increase and it stays wet for western Prince William Sound, the Kenai Peninsula, down to Kodiak Island. Chance of showers, Cook Inlet, south central Alaska, Copper River Basin, scattered showers. Same thing for the eastern Alaska Range. And it should warm up again to possibly trigger a few isolated thunderstorms up over the interior along that trough axis. Mostly cloudy, isolated showers for the west coast and the Alaska Peninsula as well. And it looks like rain for the central Aleutians, and that'll push eastward to the Unalaska and Nikolsky area on Monday, but winds will be light. Scattered to isolated thunderstorms here. Probably isolated thunderstorms, scattered showers there, that low in the west with mostly cloudy skies, mostly cloudy, a risk of showers to south central Alaska. Better chance of showers here for the North Gulf Coast, and that front keeps a chance of rain in over the southern Panhandle. Have a great evening. I'll see you again tomorrow.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.